all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. It's a manic Monday as Donald Trump courts sweeping changes to the U.S. military. Meanwhile, a ceasefire in the Middle East comes into view. We've got the latest on all that and more, but we start with a look at the headlines. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei says his country is preparing to respond to Israel after it conducted airstrikes inside Iran in October. The Iranian leader also calls for the death of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The United States announces plans to set up more air bases and missile stations in Japan and the Philippines. Washington calls it the Taiwan Contingency Plan. The move comes after Russia extends support to China for its claims on Taiwan. At least 24 migrants drowned after two boats capsized in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Madagascar over the weekend. Rescue authorities say most of the migrants were from the East African nation of Somalia. Populist pro-Russian politician Calin Georgescu leads the first round of Romania's presidential election. The anti-NATO leader contested as the independent and secured over 22% of the votes. And center-left opposition candidate Yamandu Orsi wins the presidential election in Uruguay. The president-elect promises deeper cooperation with the United States to fight drug trafficking and illegal migration. We begin in the United States, where President-elect Donald Trump is planning on signing an executive order that would remove all transgender members from the U.S. military. Now, according to a report by The Times, the contentious order could come on his first day as president in January. The directive is expected to affect thousands of active military personnel who are transgender and would be deemed unfit to serve. Now, the order would also prohibit transgender people from joining the military, which comes at a particularly fraught time as most branches of the armed forces are failing to recruit more personnel. The president-elect opposes a quote-unquote woke military and has made clear his stance on transgender rights in the past. He plans to impose broader restrictions on transgender people, not just in the military, however, but even in education, healthcare, and in sports.
Together we will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, low inflation, so that everyone can afford groceries, a car, and a home. Common sense. We will stop the invasion, end the migrant crime, support our great police, save Medicare, and save Social Security, which is under siege. We will strengthen our military, build a missile defense shield, keep critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools, and keep men out of women's sports.
Now, the Trump campaign spent millions of dollars on online and television ads framing Vice President Kamala Harris as a radical on transgender rights.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Now, members of the LGBTQ+ community fear that their peers could die from lack of medical, physical, or mental health issues during the second Trump administration.
I woke up this morning and I thought that somebody I know is probably going to die over the next 4 years. And whether it has to do with the lack of healthcare that they're receiving, both physical and mental, whether it has to do with the increase of hate crimes against the LGBT community that we're going to see, it's a really sobering thought to think that everyone in the queer community knows somebody who might not make it out alive. And I'm sorry, it's a scary thing to think about.
The Republican had signed a similar order during his first term in the White House, which banned transgender individuals from joining the military, though people already serving were allowed to remain enlisted. Military charities fought Donald Trump's trans ban, and when President Joe Biden came into power in 2021, he reversed the order in his first week.
On behalf of transgender service members, we are so excited for the opportunity that's being granted to the people who are currently serving in silence and for all the folks that want to join. What an awesome chance they have now to serve their country.
Data shows there are around 1.3 million active service personnel in the American military. And out of that, at least 15,000 are believed to be transgender. And about 2,200 service members were diagnosed with gender dysphoria back in 2021 when Donald Trump's ban was lifted. Now the future of these trans military members remains uncertain as Donald Trump's incoming administration plans to eliminate them, all because of their gender identity. And staying in the United States, in a recent episode, podcast host Joe Rogan slammed President Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for allegedly trying to start World War III. This after Washington allowed Kyiv to use American-made long-range missiles to strike deep inside Russian territory.
Right now, they are launching missiles into Russia. How are you allowed to do that when you're on the way out? The people don't want you to be there anymore. There should be some sort of pause for significant actions that could potentially start World War III. Maybe that would be a good thing that we would like to avoid from a dying former president.
The 57-year-old UFC commentator criticized President Zelensky for saying that Vladimir Putin is terrified because Kyiv is strengthening its capabilities. The Ukrainian president made these comments in response to Russia's airstrikes on Dnipro that included a new intermediate-range ballistic missile.
Today, our crazy neighbor once again showed what he really is and how he despises dignity, freedom, and human life in general, and how afraid he is. He is so afraid that he uses new missiles, and he searches the world for other places to find weapons, in Iran and North Korea. It is obvious that Putin is using Ukraine as a testing ground. It is obvious that Putin is afraid when there is simply a normal life next to him.
Meanwhile, Joe Rogan also called Russia's invasion of Ukraine an insane proxy war and urged Putin and Zelensky to come to the negotiating table.
It's not like nobody knows the U.S. is funding Ukraine. It's a proxy war. The whole thing is insane. Come to the negotiation table, sit down, work this out, and stop killing everybody.
President Zelensky, whose country has been fighting Russian forces for more than 1,000 days, pushed the U.S. to allow the use of Army tactical missile systems to attack Russian targets. The request was finally approved by President Biden just last week. Now, during the latest podcast, Joe Rogan hoped that President-elect Donald Trump would put an end to the war, something the Republican repeatedly pledged throughout his campaign. Donald Trump reportedly plans to end the Ukraine crisis by allowing Russia to keep the territory that it has invaded, a condition that President Zelensky rejects.
Through weakness and incompetence, Joe Biden has brought us to the brink of World War III. We're at the brink of World War III, just in case anybody doesn't know it. As president, I will bring back peace through strength.
Meanwhile, Putin says he is in fact ready to sit down with Donald Trump for a dialogue to end the war. Latest reports say Moscow currently controls nearly 1/5 of Ukraine's territory, giving Putin tremendous leverage. And with the re-election of Donald Trump, who embraced Putin during his first term, chances are that Ukraine is staring at a costly trade-off in exchange for peace. Billionaire Elon Musk has once again ignited the internet, and this time with a playful tease about buying the liberal news giant MSNBC. It all started with a cheeky exchange with Donald Trump Jr. on X, sparking wild speculation. With MSNBC facing declining ratings and a major shakeup from its parent company Comcast, the timing couldn't be more curious. Known for turning jokes into billion-dollar deals like his Twitter purchase, will Musk actually do it? Here's more on the story.
Elon Musk has stirred speculation after joking about buying American news-based television channel MSNBC. The conversation began when Donald Trump Jr. tagged Musk on X, responding to a post about Comcast possibly selling the network. "Hey Elon Musk, I have the funniest idea ever," wrote Trump Jr., to which Elon Musk replied, "How much does it cost?" The exchange drew parallels to Musk's 2017 remarks about buying Twitter. Back then, he casually asked, "How much is it?" And 5 years later, in 2022, he purchased Twitter for $44 billion, rebranding it as X. Some who quote Musk's move as round two base their claims on the latest sign of trouble that the television network is facing. Comcast, a multinational telecommunications company, recently announced plans to spin off MSNBC and other cable networks, including CNBC, E! And Sci-Fi, into a new company called SpinCo. This move comes amid plummeting cable TV ratings, particularly for MSNBC. According to Nielsen figures, MSNBC averaged a total day viewership of 38% through Election Day. CNN averaged 27%. Meanwhile, Fox News saw a 41% boost in total viewership. Watching the falling numbers, Musk added fuel to the fire by reposting a cheeky meme. The image showed a man tagged Elon Musk throwing a bomb and had the names of Alex Jones and MSNBC on it. Joe Rogan joined the fun and replied on a separate post, tweeting, "If you buy MSNBC, I want Rachel Maddow's job. I'll wear the same outfit and tell the same lies." To which Musk replied, "Deal." And it would be a sweet deal indeed. Maddow recently renegotiated her contract with MSNBC. She will now be paid $25 million over the next 5 years to do just one show in a week, that too on a Monday. Musk's playful yet taunting exchange with Trump Jr. delighted the MAGA supporters. While some joked about renaming the network MXNBC, others pointed to the fact that since Musk is now the richest person in the world, he could make the purchase in a jiffy. Internally, MSNBC staff are reportedly anxious about the future under Comcast's restructuring. The liberal network, home to figures like Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid, is bracing for significant changes. But for now, Musk appears to be trolling rather than planning. However, history suggests that when it comes to Elon Musk, the unexpected is always possible.
And now in the Middle East, where Israel has agreed to a U.S.-backed ceasefire with Lebanon after months of negotiations with the Biden administration. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is now working on how to disclose the details to the public. Reports from several American and Israeli media platforms confirm the approval of the ceasefire proposal. However, the Israeli Prime Minister's office has said that some issues are yet to be addressed, even though the primary tenets have in fact been accepted. If agreed upon by both sides, the truce will include the withdrawal of Israeli forces and Hezbollah fighters from southern Lebanon. Under the potential ceasefire, the Lebanese army would be responsible for preventing Hezbollah from reestablishing itself in the country's south. And a major objective would be the demarcation of contested borders between Israel and Lebanon. The truce talks were fast-tracked after fighting escalated over the weekend. Israel carried out airstrikes in Lebanon's capital, Beirut, killing at least 29 and wounding hundreds. In retaliation, Hezbollah fired over 340 rockets into Israel, hitting Tel Aviv, Haifa, and the Ashdod naval base. Multiple Hezbollah rockets were seen making direct hits at Israeli residential buildings as the Iron Dome failed to intercept nearly 200 projectiles.
Around 12:50 afternoon, sirens heard in the center of Israel, and after the sirens we heard a big boom and explosions around the Petah Tikva city. This is one of the main cities in the center of Israel. Paramedics and EMTs of MADA that reached to the scene found 6 people that needed a treatment and evacuation to hospital. One of them was with injuries and difficult breathing because of the fire, and another 5 with minor injuries.
Meanwhile, Israel has ramped up its bombardment in Lebanon as the Washington-backed ceasefire inches closer to becoming a reality. And backing the United States in achieving peace in the Middle East is now the European Union, which is demanding an immediate ceasefire.
These last days, it seems that the ceasefire is coming, but it's not coming. Someone is not interested in it. And everybody should understand that the ceasefire is absolutely needed, because the Lebanon capacity is to continue taking care of their people, in spite of the great efforts of these medical doctors, nurses, and hospital organizations, has a limit. If every night there is a new bombing, and every night there are more people being killed or maybe wounded, at the end you will reach a limit in your capacity. So I don't know which is the obstacle, but I don't think anything that could justify a single day more of war.
In recent days, fighting has escalated amid the backdrop of the ceasefire talks. Israel and Lebanon are now willing to negotiate a truce, but it's now up to Hezbollah to either take the deal or continue waging war against Israel in solidarity with Palestine. And over the weekend, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau joined the ranks of Swifties at a concert in Toronto, but the timing couldn't have been worse. As Montreal burned in violent anti-Israel protests, the Canadian leader was caught on video dancing enthusiastically. The clip went viral, sparking outrage and raising questions about his priorities. Our final report dives into the latest controversy involving the Canadian Prime Minister.
Canada is no stranger to political controversies. But this weekend revealed a troubling disconnect at the nation's highest office. As Montreal erupted in violent anti-Israel protests, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was spotted dancing at a Taylor Swift concert in Toronto. Protesters set cars on fire, smashed shop windows and clashed with the police. Organized by groups like Divest for Palestine, the protests condemned NATO's involvement in global conflicts and Canada's support for Israel amid the ongoing Gaza war. Demonstrators burned an effigy of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu while deploying smoke bombs and throwing projectiles at police officers. The Canadian police responded with chemical agents and arrested at least 3 individuals. Now, despite the unrest, the Canadian leader was over 300 miles away, dancing to "You Don't Own Me" at Toronto's Rogers Centre. His visible enthusiasm was caught on camera, sparking sharp criticism online. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre accused him of having time to dance and do selfies while his hometown erupted in chaos. Toronto MP Don Stewart also criticized the Canadian Prime Minister, saying lawless protesters run roughshod over Montreal. The Prime Minister dances. This is the Canada built by the Liberal government. Montreal was in a state of violence for 24 hours, and Prime Minister Trudeau was unbothered. A day later, after he shed his Swiftie hangover, Trudeau addressed the nation. He called the unrest appalling. He condemned acts of anti-Semitism, intimidation and violence, insisting that rioters must be held accountable. However, critics questioned the timing and the impact of his statement. They asked, if rioters must be held accountable, will Trudeau also be held accountable for his doings? His absence during the protests, combined with his jovial public appearance, fueled accusations of tone-deaf leadership. Currently, Canada is at a crossroads, grappling with domestic unrest and international crises. Moments like this demand strong and present leadership. Trudeau's choice to dance while Montreal burned was more than a misstep. It was a symbol of misplaced priorities. In times of crisis, a leader's actions speak louder than words. And for many Canadians, the only action they saw was Trudeau shake it off at the Taylor Swift concert.
That's our show for today. We certainly thank all of you for tuning in. We hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on First Post America.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Garland and you're watching First Post. In the next few minutes, we bring you the top 50 updates from around the world.